Graffiti Week 2021 has become the nation's largest celebration of American graffiti. It is only fitting that it takes place in Modesto, California, the home of George Lucas in his formative years. His knowledge and participation in the beginning years of the car culture phenomenon created the historic film American Graffiti. The week-long event features 6 car shows and of course the famous 1,000-car graffiti parade. The kickoff starts with the show sponsored by the Modesto Area Street Rod Association at McHenry Village. Monday through Thursday features Mid-Valley Chevy's Park and Shine, 3 shows throughout the city of Modesto, and the 4th in neighboring Riverbank. The Historic State Theater features George Lucas American Graffiti. Friday night is the parade, reminiscent of Dragging 10th in the 50s and 60s. Saturday and Sunday is a 2-day show, the Granddaddy of them all, sponsored by the Kiwanis Club of North Modesto. It is said that if everyone in Modesto opened their garage doors at the same time, it would be the largest accumulation of street rods and customs on display in the nation.
Hey, welcome to the Modesto Area Street Rod Association Graffiti Classic 2021. We appreciate you all being here. We're happy to kick off Graffiti Summer as a kickoff event for the city of Modesto. We appreciate all the classic car owners that bring their cars out to show, and we really are having a great time today. The weather is cooperating with us. Again, we thank you for coming out.
Modesto, and it's a 1952 Super Estate convertible. Honey Air and Solar sponsored this car. Thanks. 64.5 Mustang.
My name is Sam Audrey, and I'm a member of Mid-Valley Chevy Club in Modesto, California. I'm a past president of the club, the organization. Organization formed in the early 70s, and we are a group of people involved with street rods, and the better part of us were born in Modesto, raised in Modesto, and we all did the cruising when we were young, and as we grew up, we never left it. It's always been a part of us. We enjoy it. Mid-Valley Chevy puts on several events during and right around Graffiti Week, although this year it's late due to COVID, but we, for the most part, support other clubs in their car show activities, and namely Mid-Valley, Modesto Area Street Rods in McHenry Village, and we help them with parking and organization. And then we put on car shows 4 nights of the week. Monday night we do our Century Center car show. We typically have 200 or 300 cars that evening. On Tuesday night we do it our Vintage Fair Mall. We've had as high as 350, almost 400 cars in this parking lot at the mall. And then this year on Wednesday night, we go to Cool and Luke's in Riverbank, which is a few miles from Modesto. We'll average 150 to possibly 200 cars, all classic, beautiful cars out there. And then on our Thursday night, we support and organize an event downtown Modesto where we recognize some of the people involved in cruising and the car culture, some due to just their experiences and some because they were business orientated with people that Chevy supports several other car groups in Modesto, namely the Central Valley Nights, and where they do several charity events through the year. We help sell advertisements, sell trophy awards for them, and the proceeds go for their Christmas show, go to children, and their summer show goes to the organization that helps veterans. Mid-Valley Chevy has been active in helping to promote this activity, and we have approximately 100 members and some of the most beautiful cars in the area. We enjoy it, and we hope to do it for many years.
Welcome to the historic, nonprofit, mission-driven State Theater, the oldest continuing historic theater in Modesto, built in 1934, and the only theater still to be around from the era of George Lucas and American Graffiti. There are connections between the State Theater features in American Graffiti. You can see the old spire vertical in the film itself, right next to the parking lot where the perpetrators managed to disable the police car. And you will see on the marquee of the theater the showing of Dementia 13. I'm not sure that was the film that was showing at the time, but it very well could have been. One of the ironies of George Lucas is he never patronized the State Theater very much, or any of the local theaters. He was really into cars. And the State Theater had the reputation of showing all the Lawrence of Arabia's films that might not have attracted someone of his age. The State Theater continues to be involved in the American Graffiti Festival. We show every year. The State Theater is heavily involved in the annual celebration of Graffiti Month. We show the film American Graffiti several times during the month, and more frequently than that. In fact, we used to have our own copy of American Graffiti, which was donated to the theater by George Lucas until he sold off the studio products to the Disney Enterprises. We also show annually Sing Along Grease, which brings 300 people into the theater who not only know the dialogue, they sing along with the songs. We also try to theme the movies that we show during Graffiti Month to the graffiti celebration and to cars generally. So yesterday we showed the film Bullet. The day before we showed Steve McQueen in his first starring role in the film The Blob, which is a classic from that era. We also try to do themed movies like Rebel Without a Cause and others that tie into the graffiti theme. So we have, since our founding as a nonprofit in the 1990s, we've been heavily involved with graffiti and its promotion. And we welcome any visitors to come into our theater and experience what it's like in a real classic theater.
Okay, say something about the parade, quick.
It's about time.
Yeah.
Waited 2 years for this.
Okay. Tell me, what does it mean to you?
Brings back childhood days, or teenage days, let's put it that way. Kind of nostalgic and just happier times.
Tell me all about your car.
1938 coupe pickup, factory truck bed, 2.5-inch chop, suicide doors, modern 6-cylinder with a 700R behind it. Scoots down the road pretty good. Nice little cruiser.
Huseman, president of North Modesto Kiwanis Club. We put on the American Graffiti Car Show. This is our 23rd year of doing this. We had to miss last year because of COVID. We do this so that we can raise funds to help out children in the community, children that are at risk. That's pretty much it in a nutshell.
Okay.
Well, the Faros. Well, we started out in 1957 in Modesto High School. Tried to. The Dean of Boys says, no, you guys do that and start wearing colors, now we're going to throw you out of school. So it all went defunct there for a couple of years. A bunch of us graduated in 1960 from Modesto High School and went over to Modesto Junior College. And we're over there, and some of the guys said, you know, we ought to try to start that club that Modesto High wouldn't let us do. And there was about 4 or 5 guys got together at, I think it was at Chuck Billington's house. Anyway, they put together the Faros. So it really started in 1960. And it went along, we were just a bunch of teenagers, and it was called Faros Fraternity. It wasn't a car club per se, but we were teenagers, we liked cars, we liked girls. And so it went along for several years, and then in the mid-60s, the people started getting drafted. I got drafted in 1966 into the Army. Guys were getting married, and it kind of faded out in 1973. Was the last president says, okay, it's done. We're all going our separate ways. So disappeared for several years. Well, in 2011, some of us from the 1960 class at JC at Modesto High School had a class reunion, and one of the wives says, you know, a lot of you guys were in the Faros, you ought to get together again. So we met at their house up at Tahoe and sat around the kitchen table and tried to remember people's names, addresses, whatever. And so we started meeting just for lunch in 2011. So kind of got the club resurrected. And then a couple of years ago, people wanted to take in some new members. And by then it had become more car oriented. It was really a car club by the time some of the younger guys that were in it back in the 73 era. And it's been going now for, well, since 2011. And a couple of years ago we decided, okay, we'd take in some new members. So we're taking in like 5 members a year. But it's just a social club. It started out, like I say, it was called Faros Fraternity. In fact, when we were at junior college, the Modesto Bee kept writing articles about the different things we were doing. We were installing seat belts, and we collecting food at Christmas time for the poor and everything. And they called us the MJC Fraternity. And the administration at MJC says, hey, you guys can't do that. If you're going to be an MJC Fraternity, there's a procedure you got to go through to be a fraternity. So we got into trouble again at JC, and we weren't even doing it. We didn't do it. It was the Modesto Bee that just kept writing these articles. But basically over the years, it's just been a social thing, and in more recent times, we've got the guys with the show cars now, and they get the show car circuit. And it's just a car culture that we enjoy hanging out and socializing.
name is Shelley. I live in Don Pedro. This is my 1956 Chevy Nomad wagon. I have owned her for 16 years. It has been a joy. It has been a wonderful thing to be a part of something that is so male-dominated. It's nice to represent all of the women on wheels, and that's exactly what it's all about. It's the love of the cars. It's the wanting to be a part of this and wanting people to understand that women love cars. Women love being in the cars, and we love working on the cars and maintaining the cars, and that is why I'm here, and I'm very honored and very proud to be a part of a wonderful group of people that like to get together. And being a woman of color, it makes it all feel so much better, and I appreciate the fact that I am accepted the way that I am with open arms. So many wonderful people welcome me and tell me they're glad to see me, and tell me they're glad I'm representing women, and tell me that, you know, she's a great car, and I am very proud and very honored to own her.
They said I was supposed to give you a long speech. It's not going to happen. Charlie?
Hopefully you pick up. All right. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. American Graffiti Car Show is almost over. But we're excited to have us bring up a bunch of beautiful cars to talk a little bit about each one of them. Is from B&Z Auto Color is our sponsor, and we thank them for their sponsorship of the trophy. This is Mike and his wife Cassie Kelly. It's a 1946 Dodge half-ton. Mike and Cassie are out of Modesto, California. What's cool about this car is his father-in-law, John Salmon, was the second owner of the car, and it used to be a work truck. It used to be the one that they go pick up deliveries or go deliver stuff or go to the dump or what have you. And it's been in the family since the 1980s. Mike Kelly did the restoration on it. It's all original inside, the motor and whatnot. You got to see the truck bed if you get a chance to afterwards. The color is what strikes me. It's actually a spec color from PPG. It's called Color Space Green Metallic. The original owner on this truck was actually Brandon Tires out of Stockton. So some of you longtime Central Valleys might know a little bit about Brandon Tires. Mike, we appreciate you bringing the truck out. It's beautiful. Is Brent Burnside around here? I don't see him, but this next sponsor trophy was from Burnside Body Shop, and we just appreciate Brent and the body shop and all their hard work putting this show on. Ron Murphy out of Modesto. This is a 1970 Plymouth Cuda. This is a Mopar guy. He said, I've always loved Mopars. I've had, different Mopars all my life. I've always wanted a Cuda, and finally got this one. He's had it about 12 years. Pretty much all stock also, which, as I listen to it humming over here, it doesn't sound stock, but it's got a beautiful sound. One thing I thought was kind of fun, and certainly people have seen these before, I would imagine, but down at the bottom panel, if you look at it looks like fish gills. Well, this is a Barracuda. Of course those are fish gills down there. So that's a styling from the 1970s. He said they did it a little different in 1971, but Ron, we appreciate you bringing this out. It's a wonderful, wonderful Cuda. Take care. Thank you. I'm recalling the story that he shared with me a little bit. This one's, he calls the car Mi Loca, and when he was 17 years old, he had a Dodge Charger, and he was telling me one day, kind of got into it a little bit, maybe a little too heavy on the gas pedal, and he went car versus Oak Tree, and Oak Tree won, and unfortunately that was the end of that particular Charger. But then later in life, he was looking for another Charger, and he was really thinking, I'd love to find a green Charger again, And then he somehow found a picture of him as a little kid standing in front of his dad's Charger that was this color. It's a plum crazy purple Charger, and here's young Kevin standing in front of his dad's car, and he's like, well, I have to get a purple one now. So he found this one. He was able to make a deal for it. Found it in Texas. They trailered it out to Manteca. It won a top 10 and #1 muscle car at the USS Hornet show earlier this year. Becky shared with me when they brought it around to their place in Manteca on the trailer. Everybody started crying. They couldn't believe it. It was beautiful. So, and I wanted to share. Kevin's retired fireman and member of our military, and we thank you for your service. God bless you, brother. Thank you. This car is known as the Troublemaker, also a Faros entry. Faros has supported this program for many, many years, and we're thankful to be able to give them 3 awards this year. This is a let's see here. Sorry, 1957 Chevy 150. This is Steve and Lynn Werfs. Steve had a plaque out in front of his car, and a lot of the statistics about the car. I just went to the quote at the bottom. This car is a driver, and we smile every time we turn the key. Crisscrossed. 574. This is this trophy was sponsored by American Chevrolet. This is a 1939 Chevy sedan with Bob Martinez at the helm, as it were. Les Schwab Tire, Modesto, and Series is the sponsor of our next trophy presentation. How cool is this? Does anybody want a 50-50 bar right about now, a creamsicle? I don't know. This is a 64 VW bus. Jesse Saldana is the owner, the proud owner of this. He's owned this car for 20 years, and I asked him again, what about this car was special to him? Well, he grew up in Salinas, and Salinas is near the coast, and near the coast you have VW buses and cool cars like this around the surf. And his first car, VW Bug, and so as he jokingly said, when he bought the Bug, he got the Bug. And he's had VWs in his life ever since. He loves this one again because it fits the whole family. The kids and everybody can pile in. He did want me to mention it's a 2-year restoration and it's period correct, right, Jesse? Sponsored by and in memory of a former North Modesto Kiwanis member, Phil Rushchow, and his wife, Joan. Joan couldn't be here to pick the car this year for the Phil Rushchow Memorial Award. But my daughter Sabrina's here, and she's going to talk briefly about what it means for us to pick a Ford for Phil Rushchow.
You're too tall. Phil Rushchow was a Kiwanian for many years, and he worked hard every year to make this car show and the club the best it could be. He passed several years back, and ever since then the club has given an award to remember him. His wife Joan and his daughters Amy and Heidi weren't able to make it this year, so they asked me to present the Phil Rushchow Memorial Award on their behalf. I want to thank all of the car owners for coming out, and to especially congratulate Mr. Smith on his beautiful car. It's exactly the kind of car Phil would have loved. He had a Mustang himself, and he's always loved Fords, so whenever we try to find the right car for Phil, we always go for something just like this, and couldn't think of anything better than this car right here. My dad's got some more stuff to say about the car, but thank you, Mr. Smith, for this beautiful car.
Yeah, awesome. So this award was presented, or sponsored rather, by Don's Mobile Glass. This is Warren Johnson, and he's in his 1923 T-Bucket. He's owned this for about 30 years, and he kind of reminded me of another friend of ours that's in our club, John Sanders, in the sense that and I'm quoting him, he says, I get great pleasure and relaxation from working on it. So it's kind of like a cathartic thing, and it brings him back to his childhood memories of cars. It's patterned after the Cookie car in the 77 Sunset Strip TV series, which I got to be honest, I don't remember that. But, and it's actually signed by Cookie. It's an all-steel body. This car has been on the front cover of the Good Guys magazine as well. So, Warren, thanks so much. Appreciate you. For this particular trophy, if Donaghy Sales Promotions doesn't necessarily ring a bell, how about Michelob Ultra? They're our beer vendor over here, and we appreciate their support. Joseph Bondi brings to us a 1939 Mercury Sport convertible. Catch the license plate on the back. Her name is Maud, the car. You might ask, why mod? What mod? If any of you, I suppose one or two of you might be old enough to remember the TV show Mod back in the 70s. There was a theme song with that, and a lot of the lyrics kind of played well with the way this car treats Joseph. You know, sometimes a little temperamental, sometimes a little abrupt. And I'll just say it, I think Joseph said, plus she's got a fat behind. So there's that. Cool story about this. This car sat in the Route 66 Museum. She lived in the museum for 42 years on Route 66. Alfred Matthews is our sponsor for this next car. We appreciate Alfred Matthews and all their support. These were the first folks I interviewed earlier this morning when I went around to get stories. This is Mario and Veronica Serrano. They live in Manteca, California, and this is a 1954 Chevy Bel Air. What's a couple things that are cool about this car, it's kind of a rare color scheme except for the dust. It's black on black, and apparently that's a fairly rare combination. It has the original 6-volt battery. It's a straight 6 under the hood. Another kind of cool story, he has the original information on the original owner. The original owner was 17 years old. He's got the, I guess, bill of sale, whereas the 17-year-old's mom had to co-sign for the car. And Mario's the second owner, and just kind of likes that different style. Black Oak Casino is our sponsor for this trophy presentation. Just a little bit further, little bit, there you go, all right. Yeah, Black Oak Casino sponsor. This is Erica Jensen, 1974 midget, or MG midget convertible. To my knowledge, I think I'm right in saying this. This is the only import in today's show. I mean, awards. Oh, there's one more. Okay, so this is one of two. So Erica actually gave me a story that I want to share with you. So her father, Eric Jensen, bought this MG midget when she was in the 5th grade, 1999. So, some of her fondest childhood memories were cruising around the Iowa countryside, and you'll notice the Iowa plates on the back, listening to classic rock. What a great dad. Cruising around the countryside, listening to classic rock. That's it. No.
You, Brad. Bring up.
Mitchell's Harley Davidson of Modesto is the sponsor for this award. And I got to spend a little time with Shelley. This is Michelle Shaw. She's out of LaGrange, California. She's driving a 1956 Chevy Nomad named Tinka. This is Tinka. And of course, you're wondering why Tinka, and I was wondering that too. Well, Michelle or Shelley during school years, she was referred to as Tinkerbell. And so at first she was going to name it Tinkerbell. She said, no, it's got to have its own original name. It's Tinka. Y'all need to know that, and spend some time talking to Shelley if you get to afterwards. A friend of hers had one of these in high school, and she fell in love with Nomads right away. And I referred to Shelley as a pioneer. Back in the 1970s in Oakland Unified, girls weren't allowed in auto shop. So Shelley's mom petitioned the school district to get her into auto shop. What do you know, her sophomore year in high school, she was in auto shop, and she's been working on cars ever since. And she wanted me to give a shout out to the Motherlode muscle cars as well. So I think I stole the word pioneer from her, or I gave it to her, but she's really a pioneer in the idea of car restoration and working on cars. I think maybe 7 or 8 times, maybe a dozen times, she said it's a big labor of love. She's fantastic. I mean, it was just so much fun talking to her. It's a beautiful car. 10 years on the restoration. we tried to figure out I think the exact color of the car. She said it's more of a red with some gold in it, and somebody mentioned that it looks like the red cinnamon hots. But she did refer to the rims as adding a little bling to the car. So, Shelley, thanks so much. We appreciate you coming out.